So today we're talking about discipline and corporal punishment.
That's mad.
Yeah, so let me kick it off by asking, what are your views on smacking your children?
This is a tough one, isn't it? Cause I feel like sometimes you get some bad breed children, innit? And they have to get beat. Like, I'm sorry, they have to like that.
So let me ask you a slightly philosophical question.
Yeah.
Do you think that children are born bad?
Ooh, no.
Okay, so then how do you get bad breed children?
Through the environment that they live in. You know what I'm saying?
So
and sometimes that's out of that a parent's control because they just don't have the finances. Like, they're trying to work to better things. But the culture around them means that their child needs to be disciplined. Remember that not everybody is scared to be in a violent situation because of the area and the culture that they've grown up around, innit? And that can transpire to your engagement with other people. So, for example, yeah, I could be in a certain area. It could be heavily gang related, yeah. I could have friends who then end up in gangs. And the consensus is when their mum gets onto them, they just tell their mum to shut up. You know what I'm saying? Now, any of us ethnics who tried that, you know how that goes down. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't always work for you the way it works for somebody else, innit? But if your parent doesn't put you in check, yeah, then you think that behavior is acceptable. Now, if your primary standpoint is violence, yeah, then that's the only way that your parents can get through to you. We've all seen it. Oh, John, get down. John, get down. John, get down. John, I said get down. John, get down. John, I'm only telling you one more time. John, get down. And the child ain't listening. So you got two options, yeah? You either leave the child in the hopes that the child will run back to you, yeah? Because this is like for young children, isn't it? Or you go and you pick the child up, innit? But when you go and pick the child up, yeah, that is now normalized behavior. That if I don't listen to my parents and just stay where I am, they're gonna come get me. In order to combat the behavior, you may have to show that child some physical discipline.
Okay, so for me, when I hear that situation, I would say, okay, you're not listening, part-time's over. Okay. So the things that you like get taken away as a form of discipline.
But that's once the child is able to understand.
Yeah, but when you say that, it sounds like you advocate for smacking kids who don't have any language skills.
No. So what I'm saying is that when certain situations in life, yeah, lead you to certain conclusions, if you're not there, and this is one of the primary points, and I think this is one of the ones that you're going to capitalize on. If you're not there for your child, yeah, to bring up your child, and that could be for a number of circumstances. Remember that some parents, yeah, are working 24. Some people are single parents. Do you know what I'm saying? If you're not there for your child 24s, yeah, the language that you communicate in is not one that is known to the child. But smacking is a universal language, bro. Like, you see it, bro. Like, you raise your hand to a child, the child starts crying even before you even touch the child, some of the children. Do you know what I'm saying? It's a universal language for stop doing what you do. Do you know what I'm saying? So, it's like sometimes you're trying to communicate with the child, but the lifestyle that the child's been living or the interactions that the child has had don't lead them to respect your authority. So we're dealing with you. So you're saying, oh, part-time's over, and your child turns around and says, shut up.
Yeah.
So where you going from here? You're not going to the park.
So the park is over. Yeah. So the park is
over.
So
the child understands. No problem.
Yeah. It's hard for me. Okay. Yeah. I guess. Yeah, but then for me, the question is, how do you effectively parent? So I suppose the next question that follows, is do you think smacking is an effective form of discipline? Because when you say like, when I've said don't go, the park is over.
Yeah.
The challenge is that the child has more antisocial behavior. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
As a result of me saying
Part-time's
over, the thing that you've liked, and they double down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so my thing is, it would be more. There are more steps down the line to smacking, whereas some people are like, that is their first
result. Okay.
Yeah. That's their first result. So I'm saying, is the consensus in the room? Well, apart from me, innit? Is the consensus in the room that smacking is an effective tool for governing behavior?
So I'm gonna do a political slide on this one.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And I think action, in general, is an effective form of parenting. Yeah, an action that, you know, both the child and the parent understand to be similar. Yeah. So, for example, if my child doesn't care about me taking the park away from it, that's not a universal language. You see, when you keep saying, then you're like, okay, you know, and when we get home, I'm gonna put your toys in the attic, okay, and I'm gonna take your mobile phone, okay, and you can't go out and play with your friend, bro. What are you doing, bro? You're just listing off things, and your child is just looking at you like dead straight, because the level of risk. Remember, we were talking about risky like communities, that some children grow up in. If the risk is that you lose your life, or you might get bagged, or you might end up in prison, you taking away the park and all that don't mean nothing. And remember, some people get entrenched in the road, from like 14 years old. Bro.
Yeah, but I think there's a conflation between ages when you're doing that.
Yeah, so of course, yeah.
You have your primary socialization.
Of course.
And I'm not a psychiatrist. My understanding is primary socialization is really from 0 to about 5.
Okay, yeah.
And that when a person is developing their core values as a person, that is the fundamental age within what they work with.
Okay.
So if the parent is always smacking the kid, that sets a precedent, for how they engage with their problems as they grow up.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you could get to, I don't know 5-year-olds who are gang initiated, innit? But my thing is, when I'm talking about kids, that's predominantly the range I'm talking about. Maybe 7 or 8 as well, innit? Because what I find is, especially if you're a single parent, and you're a woman, there's a moment, and even if you're not, because this happened with me, there is a moment that I call the catch the belt moment, especially if you have sons, right? So where your mum tries to discipline you, with a belt, a slipper, whatever it is, catch it.
It don't work.
And you're like, aha!
Yeah.
We say it now. And 2 things happen then. The child understands that they cannot be disciplined through violence, which is what I see smacking as, like a form of violence. And the mum realizes that she cannot effectively parent the child through violence. So that happens. Now, if there's no one else in the room, like daddy's not there, because with dads it lasts a little bit longer. Okay. But even with dads, it'll get to a point where your sons start to stand up to you when you use violence.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
My position is that if
that's why you got to use it early. Still, no,
this guy.
Yo, my position is, if you use behavioral tools in it and language and explaining yourself, then you never get to a stage where a child says, like, has that catch the belt moment.
That's true.
Because you're using effective tools.
But you might get to a level where your child can verbally spar with you intellectually.
Yeah.
And you're always wrong. Because the way that the world is moving, you're not catching up with it. And then you get that imbalance as well. I think in any situation, you can be out trumped by the child.
Yeah, you
whether
can.
it's physically, whether it's like
you can, but
intellectually.
My position is that it's much shorter when you use violence.
Yeah,
really by the age of 12, 13, like your kid can catch a belt and take it off you.
Yeah.
Round about that age.
Yeah.
To get to the point where you're verbally sparring over
usually
behavior,
it takes 18 plus.
Yeah. And by that time
16.
you would hope that your children have like fully grounded ideas in it. So I have to read this, and I want to get your views on it and see whether it changes like your ideas and stuff, and it'll go into a
of course,
different conversation, So Elizabeth Gershoff did a study of 20,000 kindergarteners and their parents, and found that 89% of blacks, 80% of Hispanics, 79% of whites, and 73% of Asian parents have spanked their children. Yeah, so I think you touched on this before, So all ethnicities, are higher than 50%. Yeah, so do you think that smacking seems to be the go-to for most parents?
I do. I mean, I think most of us try to find the shortest route to get to what we want. You know what I'm saying? So if the shortest route is smacking and the child, does that, it's like dummies, isn't it? Like dummies, that people use for babies. Like, I can't stop them to get cry. Oh, why don't you buy them a dummy? And then you just put the dummy in the mouth and the child is mute. Do you know what I'm saying? But that's not always good for the child. But it is the default mechanism, When you speak to most people and you say, oh, my child keeps crying, I can't get any sleep, the child's cooing in the middle of the night and that, people say, oh, why don't you try a dummy? You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's necessarily always malice, but I remember when I was studying, to be a social worker, my practice educator at the time, so when you go on placement, you have somebody who oversees your placement, you usually have a practice supervisor and a practice educator, So the practice educator, like, he was saying to me, when people don't get what they want, they develop, like, what he likes to call, like, the vending machine, like, syndrome. And he explained that to be, you see when you put your pound in the vending machine, and you go and you say, all right, cool, man, wants a Snickers, boom, and you push the number, and then it gets stuck. The first thing people start doing is, like, pushing all the buttons, shaking the machine, trying to press the eject, do you know what I'm saying? Button, like, profusely. And that is the way that humans act when they are under pressure to perform very quickly. They don't have the headspace to think. And I think that's what happens with smacking, It's like, especially because a lot of the time, your child is out in public, or it's always those times that the children choose to act up in it. When other people are around, when you were supposed to throw a party and you told them, listen, we're trying to keep the place tidy, don't go into my room, and then that's when you'll find your child in the room with the Maltesers and your white bed sheets all smeared. And do you get what I'm saying? And the first thing you think about is, bruh, I'm gonna whoop this kid's ass. Like, you don't think to yourself, oh yeah, come, let's have a conversation. Let me tell you why exactly what you did was terrible. That's not your first reaction. So I get it. I don't always think it's the right thing though. Even though I'm an advocate for some smacking. Yeah, I know, like, bro, like,
criminal.
Bro, people can say what they want, bro. I got smacked. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and it taught me discipline. And the thing is, anybody can cap here, but you gotta understand, that as a child, I was looking for any excuse to wild out. Any excuse, bro. If mum ended up in hospital, between the ages, and we praise God that it never happened, between the age of me being probably about 12, to 16, for something that I thought was quite radical, that would have given me an excuse to box one of my teachers in their face.
Bro.
Yeah, bro.
That took a deep turn.
It took a deep turn. Bro, like, trust me, I was trying to...
He just didn't like his teacher.
Yeah,
bro, but you know what it was, like, it was so important, and many people will identify with this, in secondary school to be part of the guys. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, for people not to approach you for no reason and think that they could get away with it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's a jungle, man.
Yeah, it's a jungle. Exactly that. Do you know what I'm saying? So, if it's a jungle, for me, I was like, I can only exhibit jungle behavior because outside is a jungle, but my home is a safe haven. Do you see what I'm saying? My parents looked after us. They put food on the table. Do you know what I'm saying? They studied with us. They looked at our homework. They tried to give us additional work to study. Do you know what I'm saying? So that we would be proficient in school. So the only way, that I could be that savage outside of my house, and it's funny because you spoke, like, I'm not saying that I was a gangster by any means, but you speak to most gangsters, they do, like, a lot of them do have respect for their parents. Maybe not if their dad's straight, innit, but the caregiver to them, they have a lot of respect for. And I had a lot of respect for my caregivers. Do you know what I'm saying? But I didn't want to be bullied in school. I didn't want teachers to just chat. Do you know what I'm saying? For no reason, just be able to say. So the first time you get into a fight in school, if you win that fight, you know what reaction you get, bro. Anyone who in this room who's won a fight, knows the deal. If you, like, even some females, when they win their first scrap, they know the deal. All the girls start coming over to them. Let alone a man who's supposed to be this kind of jungle animal who protects and provides. So you don't want to get punched up. You want to get punched up.
Yeah.
On your first fight.
Yeah, no,
bro.
It sets a precedent.
Yeah, so you become violent. Do you know what I'm saying? So even to some degree,
I say you
have the potential for
you hone your capacity for violence.
And all right, cool. So like let's even start. Let's even break this down. So if that's the starting point, for most people, we all agreed with that scenario in this room, and there's 3 of us, So then, as an adult, as you're growing, the likelihood that you're gonna smack your child is quite high.
Yeah, but the question is it a good? So okay, is it a good thing? Yeah, that's the question, isn't it? About smacking might be convenient or ingrained in a parent. But the question is it good for your kids? Because I don't care about you as an adult.
Yeah, of course,
who's a parent who's doing your thing, innit? What my concern is
the effect
that it has on the child, innit? Because look, if you go around beating up your kids, your kids then have to like go out into the world and be people for other people, and interact with other people. So the question is, does that person get more refined as a result of the beating, or does that person become like somebody that society has to sort of drag
go on. I was about to say, I hate to sit on the fence because it's a very difficult question for me, because I try to be as honest and transparent as possible in it. I want people to know. Now, there are many situations in life where violence is not the answer, and the immediate like reaction to do violence, and smacking is a form of violence, is bad. Do you get what I'm saying? But having no potential to be violent, is a bad thing. But you don't want your child, to have a burglar in the house, and think that the best way to do this is a logical reason.
Yeah. So I'm asking a lot of questions because I want to get it. I want to flesh it out.
Right, there's a podcast. We got to talk, bro.
So because for me, I don't think your potential for violence comes from being smacked, right? Your potential for violence is learning how to maneuver in violent situations. So, for example, I can never smack my kid, but I can send my kid to do Muay Thai, and he'll learn how to be violent. He'll learn how to and he will learn it from somebody who is competent in violence, who tells him, you see, if you have a street fight outside and you're not defending yourself, you can't come back to the dojo. You can't come back to the gym, and me smacking my kid, like, what does that teach them about violence? Nothing. It teaches them how to be a punching bag.
All right, cool. So what happens when your child does Muay Thai, and then you're talking a whole lot of madness, telling them to go clean their room, and they kick you up?
Well, the pure tenets of all martial arts is respect and honor.
But they're children. So the thing is,
it's not...
wait one second. There's many children, who study mixed martial arts, and I get you. That is the ground and base, But how many children, get told off by their dojos, for fighting in the streets? How many children?
I don't think there's a lot.
I think there's a higher amount than you would believe to admit.
No, I don't think there is. Sam, go.
I'll do the Google. Don't worry.
Because I don't think that's true. Because one, you know, if like your child's young, so say your child's 5, even if your child knows how to leg kick,
not to a significant point where it's going to be any...
unless you're like a really weak dad, like maybe he'll inflict some damage. But I'm not worried about a 5-year-old's like.
But we're talking, but you're talking about a 5-year-old in terms of the primary socialization. I'm talking about the lifespan throughout life. Do you know what I'm saying?
So okay, so maybe
I don't think we can, because some children still get beat at 16. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't think we can narrow it down to just beating like smacking babies.
Yeah. Okay, that is true. So
because you're gonna catch a belt, you're not gonna be 5 years old.
Your position is, say for example, a 15-year-old is getting told off by his dad.
Yeah.
And then they get into an altercation.
Yeah.
And then young buck head kicks dad.
Yeah. On some not really head kick, but yeah. Or like giving man a big boy gut shot where man can't breathe. Like you're training a child in martial arts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like he's been training, he's been sparring.
That is
you ain't been sparring.
So that's a side effect of raising somebody who's competent in violence and not having the capacity to match that child in violence for yourself. Mm-hmm. Again, to me, it might sound waste, innit? Mm-hmm. But I would rather that. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I know that
waste is your view, innit?
Yeah. My child has the ability to defend themselves like properly. Remember, the reason I brought that up was because I didn't necessarily agree with the idea that because somebody because somebody smacks somebody, it makes them competent in violence. Yeah. And so I'm saying that there are real tested ways for young men to learn how to control their violence, you know, and actually make it methodical and useful in their life, and to use it for like a daily practice and to use it to make themselves better as human beings.
And I agree, but I think the main point that you put is for it to be a daily practice. Do you know what I'm saying? As we said, children don't grow, like, you're not born bad. And in fact, you're not really born with any knowledge in any essence. Do you know what I'm saying? A child learns that. And some people are more proactive in their learning. Do you know what I'm saying? So you get the child who learns martial arts and they say, okay, well, don't do martial arts outside the dojo. And they don't, you know. They really respect, you know, their sensei. They come in, they put in the hard work, and then they go home. And they know that if they're ever moved to on the street, the first thing that they're going to do is go with the self-defense route. So they're going to pin people down. They're going to hold people. Do you know what I'm saying? That's their view of mixed martial arts. And if someone brings out a knife or a gun or something, that's when they're going to resort to the punches and the kicks, and they're going to move quite fast because they know their stuff. But you get some children who are like, I'm a black belt, watch out! Start fly kicking everywhere, do you get what I'm saying? Start climbing up on counters and all the rest of it. That's just the person's trait. Like, remember, you've got children who have ADHD as well. So we haven't even really touched on the entire span.
Yeah, because we can't, like, so...
Yeah, of course, again, and we're not psychologists as well.
And when we use these examples, like, it's really important to go with
the macro view,
the average, because when you start to account for other things like
of course,
things with they're a different challenge of course. In any case, understand what I'm saying?
And technically you shouldn't be smacking children who, do you get what I'm saying? Like,
but why though?
Huh?
Why though?
Because so for me, personally, because the child lacks the understanding. You can't even explain to the child sometimes. Do you know what I'm saying? Because
so if you're disciplining a child from 0 to 5,
do
you think that child has understanding? Like a 2-year-old.
But this is the thing, See, when we first started talking about it, you asked me, do I think smacking is right? Do you get what I'm saying? You never actually put an age limit on it. I wouldn't smack a child, in their early years.
Okay. Well, some people would,
And that's the thing. I wouldn't smack a child in their early years. And the reason why is, number one, the amount of force that I have, bro, I go gym. I don't know, fam. I'm not trying to crack little child's bones. Do you know what I'm saying? This is a little child. Do you know what I'm saying? I may do something like a little flick or something like that. Do you know? Don't do that. Do you know what I'm saying? But I'll be very careful about the amount of force I exhibit onto that child because it's a 5-year-old, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? But I think as a child gets older, do you get what I'm saying? Sometimes the behaviors that they exhibit can only be matched once they realize that there is a level, like, you're willing to push on a level of, like there will be action. Because think about it, with most men, most disputes between men can be resolved through discussion, but there's a number of them that can't. Hence why many of us got into fights in clubs, because you had a drunk person, who had out of their inhibitions, so the understanding wasn't there, but not because they couldn't understand, but because they chose not to understand, and you said to them, I beg you, don't do that. My brother, this is my space. These are my peoples. We don't know you. Can you stand over there? Nah, shut up. My brother, please. Please. We're trying to have a good time here. Just go over there. Done it. What power you? Do you know what I'm saying, man? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it goes on. Do you know what I'm saying? So why did you resort to that? Do you see what I'm saying? You have to think to yourself, why did you resort to that? Because the person wasn't listening, and your knee-jerk reaction was to give that person just a one wallop. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing. It's like with human beings, yeah. Once you understand aggression, innit, it becomes the last resort of a lot of the stuff that you do. Yeah. So even when you look at MMA fighters, yeah, most of them, yeah, can't, like, they're not living an amazing life when they go into MMA. Do you get what I'm saying? They're not super, super rich. A lot of them have come from mad lifestyles. And they choose to fight. Why? Because it makes them money. It's the last resort that made them money. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing about violence. It's often, yeah, it should be used as the last resort, innit? But some people just, like, default. Like, there's always people who are looking for the quickest way in life, innit? If the quickest way is to jingle somebody to get money, then that's what they do. They don't think to themselves, oh, actually, I do have £100. Let me just put that in an investment. Do you know what I'm saying? Or in a bundle or something. They think I got £100, bro. This ain't gonna last me, bro. Hey, raw. Hey, yo. Are those the new Jordans? Yeah, my brother. Oh, sick. Nice. Yo, is that chain real gold? Yeah, come here. Do you know what I'm saying? Fam, we don't operate on that logical structure. I wish we did, innit? Because it'll make a lot of things easier. But I think when most people get into that nitty-gritty situation, they will beat their child, bro. You saw it. Look at the statistics.
Yeah. So there's a couple things I want to ask in it. So obviously we've heard that from that study, black people whoop their kids a lot in it. Why do you think that's? Because if I look, it's actually very interesting, yeah. Because when I look at those numbers, yeah, it correlates almost perfectly, yeah, to academic performance. All the kids, we know that Asians perform better. So when I say Asians, I'm using the American definition. So that's because they tend to group people from like Japan, Korea, and stuff like that as Asian. Whereas like in the UK, for some reason, we call Asian people like Indian and Pakistani people.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is a distinction, isn't it?
Yeah.
So when they talk about Asians, that's who they're talking about.
Yeah.
So when you look, those type of people tend to do much better in their examinations, and you notice that with the prevalence of smacking, it tends to go down, innit? So
because they're better at torture. You know what I'm saying? That's what my argument is still. They're better at torture. Fam, they'll do stuff like, alright, cool, like, you know, sit under the tap, let the water drip on your head. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, they don't do that to children. But,
we've got to be careful about
of course. So, of course. But it's bans. But like they're much more creative, at coming to the solution that they need to, And I believe, also they're not as policed as us. Do you know what I'm saying?
I don't think that's true.
You don't think that's true? I think in Korea, I could be wrong, but I think in the Asian population, telling someone to go sit at the wall, and stay there, is just calm. It's just normal. They don't mind it. Whereas in UK tradition, you know, we've had bar, rainbow sheep. Do you know what I'm saying? Like we're very sensitive to the development of children. Which is really weird because we started using children as adults before anybody else. Sent them down the chimneys. Do you know what I'm saying? Which is kind of mad. Do you know what I'm saying? We had them working in the Victorian times. And then now we've moved on to our understanding that children are something that we need to protect. I feel like the Asian population don't necessarily see it the same way. And the thing is, you can, even though they don't necessarily smack, maybe not on the statistics, I feel like they don't necessarily see anything so against it like we do. I don't know, innit? Like, I would need someone of Asian heritage here to kind of back up my point, innit? But that's how I feel. I feel like we see like children as harmless, defenseless, until you get punched in the mouth. Or like back in the day, yeah, what children used to do, yeah, like who had been unruly in it, like they used to think it was a joke when people were stepping off the train to kick someone's leg in it, and then you just drop like. And I remember I saw someone do that to some man like for no reason. I was like, yo, bro, like what are you guys doing? Do you know what I'm saying? But
is that the exception to the rule, though?
Yeah.
Do you think most kids are kicking?
Nah, of course not.
Yeah.
But you know, my thing is like they don't see like that's when we kind of realize that actually this is no longer a child. Do you know what I'm saying? This is somebody who has a rational mind, and we start to ask some questions. Well, why did you do that? Do you know what I'm saying? Why did you do that? I feel like the Asian population query that a lot because they see you as a developing adult. Do you know what I'm saying? Like once you go into the education, not with nursery, when you're talking about nursery and that.
It's hard for me because obviously I'm not Asian and I don't have many Asian friends.
See, I have a decent amount of Asian friends.
Asian or
not by the American definition.
Right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, not by the American definition.
Yeah.
But I have a few friends, do you get what I'm saying? I've got one of my boys that thing. But I just feel like they adult you a bit more. If that's a word.
But see, that's where I come from, yeah? My position has always been I raise my children to be fully functional adults or thereabouts.
Yeah.
Depending on my capability to get them there and their capability themselves. And so it's important for them to teach. It's so important for me to teach them skills and values that allow them to, 1, grow and prosper, 2, to be able to defend their space, and 3, contribute to the societies, whatever society they decide to live in and be part of.
Yeah.
And I think one of the key things about that is language skills. So I was really sensitive when I read about like Basil Bernstein's elaborate and restrictive codes.
Okay, yeah.
And for anyone who hasn't heard, I'll just give you a rundown. So essentially, elaborate code is anything that is highly descriptive in nature, right? So your child is messing about on a bus and then you say to them, sit down. They say, why? You say, because the bus is moving, it makes sharp turns, you could fall down. When you fall down, you could hurt yourself. Child may or may not listen to you, but they've got the full information of what they're saying and the consequences of their actions.
Okay, yeah.
Restrictive code is your child is messing about on the train or the bus, and you say sit down, and they say why, and you say because I said so. They learn nothing about the interaction, they learn nothing about the consequences. And so they have a restricted ability to communicate, 1, how they're feeling, and 2, they don't have highly descriptive abilities to explain themselves and their environment. And I think smacking is the physical manifestation of the restricted code.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean that the logic is there.
A1, innit?
Yeah. But then the real question for you, is then how did you learn the elaborate code? Because your ass got whooped.
Yeah. So that was actually one of my questions. So 1, when I look at the breadth of my childhood, innit? Yeah. I got smacked, but I didn't get smacked a lot. And part of the reason is I'm naturally agreeable. I'm an agreeable person, right? So a lot of the time when mum said to do something, I did it. When I got to about 17 or 18, I really wanted to be part of my friend group. They had more liberal rules when it came to like being out late, socialization, and all the rest of it. Yeah. Being allowed. So one of the things that was categorically not allowed in our house, was to stay over at a girl's house or have a girl stay over at our house. So obviously it made interactions with women or girls at that time difficult, innit?
Yeah,
because
of course, yeah.
obviously you want. You know, but that was in place, and so I agreed to that a lot. You know, whereas some sons, may have said, "Oh yeah, mom, I'm going out so-and-so's going to bring me back in it. And then said, oh, you know what, so-and-so's drunk, mum, like I can't come back in it. So I'm just going to stay over. All that time we were at the girl's house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was naturally agreeable.
Clarty. As humility would say, you get me?
You know, so that's one of the reasons. And two, because I had a passion for literature and reading and books. And I read books a lot throughout my younger years. And so that helped me with my ability to describe things. And to put words down, like about how... And also, because I did a lot of poetry and rap, yeah, again, when you start to do rap, like, obviously it's very basic, innit? But when you've done it for a couple of years, you're able to, like, get into your feelings, innit? And put out your frustrations or your hopes and your dreams into your writing. And so that helps with the process as well, like of being able to be in a position where you can explain yourself.
Yeah.
And so for me, I think that's one of the reasons I was able to do that. And also my wife is very good at doing that, right? Because my wife wasn't smacked by her mum, who was her primary caregiver. And so again, she learned how to, and then she works in a school as well. So she's very, very good at being able to communicate to our kids about this is what we do, this is what we don't do. If you do this, there are consequences for doing it. Now, every kid loves things like food. Yeah, every kid wants to be part of the family. So when you say sit on that step, like the first couple of months are the hardest, yeah? Because you say sit on that step, they say no, and then they can't, like they run back, and then you have to take them. You have to say sit on the step, and like so a lot of people think, but that's a waste of time. Like why am I going to do that in it? But it's what you're teaching the child, because while the child's on the step, what they're actually doing is reflecting on their behavior and the consequences of like their actions. Like why? Because you say to the child, I want you to sit on this step, and I want you to think about what you've done and the reason that you're on this step.
You think
again,
that's personality though?
I think that's communication. Like you always have to, as a parent, my position is you should always be communicating to your child. When my daughter was, now, we were reading one of her books the other day, yeah? I said, Faith, can you tell me what's happening in this picture? Do you know what she said? It was talk about food and the digestive system. She's 4, yeah? Just for, I want to put out there, and it sounds like I'm bigging up my daughter, innit? I am.
Yeah, so you should. Yeah.
So I said to her, do you know what's happening here? She said, yeah, the food is going into your mouth, it's going into your esophagus, and it's going into your
esophagus.
When I was 4, I didn't know what your esophagus was. I didn't know what your uvula was. I didn't know anything like that. Oh, and then she added, and then it comes out as poo. Yeah? So she knows the basics of the digestive system. One, because of my job. Like she's always asked, I'm always looking at diagrams and stuff like that, and she's always like, oh daddy, what's that? Explaining.
But again, do you think that's her personality?
Her personality.
Because remember, you said, yeah, for example, that you never got smacked a lot because you was heavily agreeable. Yeah? But your wife is not heavily agreeable, but she didn't get smacked.
No, but she's agreeable too.
You think she's more agreeable than disagreeable?
So I believe that I'm more disagreeable than her. Because I won't do anything that I don't want to do.
So why was you more agreeable before?
Do
you see what I'm saying? Is it a personality thing? Is it the way that you grew up?
Or? I think that like I had a thing where I really wanted to make mum and dad proud. And also, I don't know where it came from, but I had this thing where I didn't want anybody to be able to stereotype me. So I didn't want anybody to say, oh, because you're black, you don't read books, you know. Oh, I bet you that your mum and dad are not together. Or I bet you've got a baby mum. Or I bet you didn't finish education. I bet you've been to prison. I hated that.
Do you know what's mad, yeah? That is something that has always stuck with me as well.
Yeah, I don't know where it came from.
I think I got it from you.
Probably.
I don't mind being a stereotype. Let's just get that clear.
Just adding that in.
Gang.
Yeah, I don't mind being a stereotype, but I don't want people to be able to look at me and tell my story.
Yeah.
I have a big issue with that.
Yeah.
You know, so people are like, oh, yeah, so you work in retail? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like, oh, yeah, did you used to be in a gang when you was little? Well, not really. And people are like, oh.
Not really, you say?
Yeah.
Give up the names. Do a gunner.
Do a gunner. Oh, do a gunner. Wow.
Yo, that was so underhand still.
Wow.
But, you know, because I wasn't really, bro, like, you know that when you're young, innit, and you got a group of people that you hang out with, and then someone says, you know, this is the gang, and then like, oh, gang. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was more like that. It wasn't like, oh, yeah, we was terrorizing the streets of South London. Do you know what I'm saying? So, I think in any case, yeah, I don't know, innit? It's very interesting, innit? Because both me and you got smacked. Do you know what I'm saying? But we are very different.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? I don't even know who got beat more. But I knew that I was a bit more unruly than you.
Yeah.
But then my lies got me out of a couple situations still.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know.
You know what it is, yeah? I think it's with Africans, yeah, they're sadistic, man. They're sadistic in nature, yeah? Because, like, I remember it wasn't enough to, like, beat man, yeah? It was like, I want you to go to the garden, yeah? And pick a stick. And if the stick is too small, I'm going to go and find the biggest one in there to beat you with. So you're all so you're shook, yeah? You're looking in the garden and you're going, oh, not that one, not that one, I don't want to. But then you don't want to pick a tiny one, innit? But then you don't want to pick one that's massive. And that's torture, fam.
Yeah. You know what's mad, yeah? That the fact that my man went to the garden to find the stick.
Listen, you had to.
No, you didn't. This is what the problem is. You know what I'm saying? And this is the funny thing, yeah? The oldest child, yeah, always feels like you have to, yeah?
Yeah, no, it's
The
true.
Middle child is somewhere in the middle. And then if you have another child, yeah, after that child is not doing...
There's no way I'm picking a stick. Like, honestly, if she told me to go out there and get the stick, I'm looking at her like, come on, like.
I told you, bro.
Let's be honest here.
Like, you actually don't have to. And this is the funny thing that I realised, yeah, especially about like some ethnics, yeah. It's like, if you can bring the level of charisma in it with the defiance, yeah, they like you a little bit.
Yeah, special guest objection here, yeah. So let me take you guys back on a little story, yeah. I don't know what I did, but I infuriated my mum, yeah. I infuriated mother. So she's come out, got the belt ready. She's like, come here. I'm like, I know what's gonna happen. No, like I literally looked at her and I was like, no, like, come on, we don't have to do this, yeah. The venom I saw in her eyes at that point, I was like, you know what? Let me just accept it. Whatcha? The belt comes. I grab it. She's looking at me like, oh, you grabbed the belt. I'm like, I knew what was going to happen. Like, I don't want this. I kid you not. I saw a smirk. And I'm thinking I'm safe here. I'm thinking I'm safe. So she gave me a little smile and that. I was like, cool, I really I got whacked. But from that, I saw the smile and I was like, I saw the mutual respect before I got my ass kicked. But yeah, little anecdote there.
Yeah.
So, as of recording, 30 countries have banned physical punishment in all settings, including the home. In the UK, it's unlawful for a parent or carer to smack their child, except where it amounts to reasonable punishment. However, it's been banned in Scotland and in Wales. Yeah.
Oh man.
So my question, as we round this conversation out, is: do you think that smacking in the home should be banned? Completely outlawed.
This is hard, man. I don't think you can tell someone how to parent their kid. Like, honestly, if I'm being honest with you, bro, like, remember that some kids, turn into serial killers. And then you judge the parents for the way that they brought them up. Or you say, you know, where was their mum? Where was their dad? When they were being weird? What was happening? But then you're saying, oh, well, actually, we feel that you should parent your child in this way. Yeah, and I'm telling you, yo, my brother, with all due respect, it's not working. You know that parents' evening? You're like, my child doesn't get maths. And they're like, but I'm teaching it. And your child's not listening. No, but they are listening, because when they come home and I do the work with them, they're actually trying, but they just don't have this strength in maths. It needs to be communicated another way to them. And they're like, nah, the schooling system don't really do that. Maybe you should try a private tuition. Do you know what I'm saying? Not everybody is the same two ways. So I don't think you can outlaw it in the home, bro. I just don't. I don't know, innit? I got beat and I turned out alright, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that every child should get beat, and I'm not saying that every parent has the level of control to be able to beat their child. I think if you know certain things about yourself, you should probably avoid it Do you know what I'm saying? It should always be the last resort. But I think sometimes it just works, bro.
So
it's the magic wand.
My position is it shouldn't be. Because
that's mad because you're against beating, but you don't.
Yes, but I'm against that. But I'm also against big government telling people how to live their lives.
Okay.
And I think that encroaches on family life. If you beat your kids, like I would probably object in it. But again, it's kind of like, well, you say to somebody, you should have the language skills to explain to your child what they. But if they don't have that, what? You know, because you're making a major assumption, and it's very haughty. Like people who go to university and sort of spend time in academia, they have this weird projection on other people. Like they have the same language skills, they have the same descriptive skills. There are mums and dads in this country. Obviously, it's not that the average who can't read and write.
Yeah,
you know, and you're expecting those parents to be able to break down like how they feel, the feeling of their children, or maybe they've been raised in generation where they've been hardworking themselves and they've been beaten, and so they equate like discipline and flying straight as I suppose in it as beats, you know, and so if that's the way that they have to curb certain behaviors from their children, then I have to accept that. I don't think it's ideal, personally, but I accept that some people don't have other tools to parent their children.
Bro, and some people, bro, this life is an experiment, bro. Like, we were beating people in school. Like, years before. In other countries, people were beating people in school.
Yeah, your teacher whoop your ass.
Yeah, and then you do a 360 and say, "Oh, you can't beat people in the home." You're like, you've been beating us. What do you mean?
Yeah, but it's time, innit?
Oh, it's like, it's time to let it go now.
Values change over time.
And values do change over time, but we actually don't know what those values mean. That's what I'm saying. It's a social experiment, Carl. We after what? So how many years we had of this law being passed?
I think in Scotland it was 2020.
Yes, so 2020. So you had 2 years. You've had 2 years of not beating children.
And in Wales it's 2022.
All right, so Wales is 2022. So we just figured out not beating children. Yeah. So if in 30 years time, we end up with 90% of the population as criminals, what are we gonna do? Start beating children again?
Yeah, maybe. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us know what you think about it. It'll be great to have your views. I would say that we're gonna read all of your comments, but we might not. But make sure that you like and subscribe. Do all of the things that the algorithm likes. If you want to hear more of us and you want our videos to show up in your feed more. And then until the next time, my name is Sammy.
My name is Don.
And we've been the family.
Bow.